10 months ago, we started this journey. Calendar says December. That means MLS Cup. That means somebody is lifting the Philip F. Anschutz trophy. We're going to Atlanta, Georgia, baby. Saturday night, 70,000 plus. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yeah, they got a Falcon outside, but this is a Five Stripes town right now. Welcome to MLS Cup Central. Welcome to the MLS studios in New York City. It's MLS Cup week. It is time to sink our teeth into it. I am Andrew Wiebe. With me, the guys that you know well. Kalen Carr. We have promoted Bobby Warshaw
from
to
what
the
exactly?
table. He was at the board, Taylor.
Okay.
He's been doing really well over there. But
appreciate that.
Yeah,
did you wear
touching
pants?
Distance here.
Sometimes.
Okay.
We know he's wearing pants because we made sure he was wearing pants. That's Taylor Twellman. You know him well. We, of course,
boys?
Did a little bit of renovation here. We had to fit in your head and your ego, Taylor.
It's difficult. It took about 24 hours, but we got it through.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
What are you looking forward to? You know MLS Cup week. It's not always the most positive memory for you, but what are you looking forward to right now?
The fact that Atlanta in only the second year has taken the league by storm, not only on the field but also off the field. Portland Timbers now makes it Cascadia's in MLS Cup for 4 straight seasons, right? So you've got that storyline. But I do look at over the last, I'd say 15 MLS Cups, I do think Atlanta may be the heaviest favorite we've ever seen in MLS Cup, especially over the last 15 years. And that's why I think it makes it, if Portland ends up winning, you're talking about maybe the biggest upset in MLS Cup history.
538 says 77% chance that Atlanta wins that cup. Kalen, what's on your mind, man? What's got you juiced?
I agree with Taylor. I think all the pressure is on Atlanta United. Mm-hmm. And you can say, look, we'll all celebrate them throughout the week leading up to it as far as culturally how they matter in that market, 70,000 strong, going to break a record at MLS Cup. And look, they've changed the way that you build a team. The way LAFC came in has changed. But they didn't win Supporters Shield, lost it on the final day of the season, couldn't live up to it. Now they've gotten here. But all the pressure is on them to perform. I think they have the pieces to get it done, but the pressure is squarely on them, and I think that will suit Portland as well.
Pressure on Atlanta, Bobby?
You guys are going to Atlanta for a soccer game? I'm going for the party. I'm going for the event. And this thing is going
Spoken like a true Stanford grad.
This thing is going to be wild. The way that city loves this team, it's going to be an incredible week.
Absolutely. If you are in Atlanta, congratulations to you. If you're headed to Atlanta, congratulations to you. If you're not, well, follow from afar. You can do it on MLS Cup Central. We, of course, have that pregame show. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturday from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, soaking in the hoopla, maybe hobnobbing with some celebrities, because, they show up to Atlanta United games. Got the post-game show as well, and then MLS Cup Central, Wednesday through Friday. What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday right now. Stick with us, 7 p.m. Eastern every single night, breaking it all down. Taylor Twellman with us, Luis Robles joining us on Friday. That ought to be really good. Coming up right now, though, here's what we got in the hopper for you. Certain someone, he wears 5 stripes. He scored an awful lot of goals, 34 between the regular season playoffs. He won the Landon Donovan Mls Mvp award. Joseph Martinez, we'll talk that. Of course, the tail of the tape, Tata Martino, Giovanni Savarese, who has the edge on the sideline. The log, the Timbers log, is on the way to Atlanta. David Goss has a report for us on that one. And I had an exclusive chance to sit down with Greg Berhalter, 1v1. So that's what's coming for you right now on MLS Cup Central. Hit the share button, by the way, folks. Do us a little favor with that one. The excitement in the city, it's palpable. 2 years in, they got MLS Cup. But every single game day in Atlanta is special, Taylor. You've been there a number of times for broadcasts.
It's insane.
What do you feel?
It's insane. I think Arthur Blank's interview at halftime of the MLS All-Star Game said it all to me when I asked the question that no one really in Atlanta wanted me to ask him, what's a better experience, the Falcons or the United games? He didn't even think about it. He said United. Over this past weekend, the Ravens-Falcons, maybe 35,000, 40,000 there. But the true test for me is when I get into a cab ride, when I get into an Uber ride, and the guy turns around and he's arguing with me about Atlanta United. That's when you know you've made it. From the moment Portland Timbers came in the league, guys, they were already doing that. Mm-hmm. But for Atlanta United in the SEC country, it is literally shocking to me that Atlanta United is Atlanta's team when the Braves, the Falcons, the Hawks have been there in SEC football. It's a little surprising.
Taylor Twellman gets in the Uber. That guy's licking his chops. Or that girl, they know. Hot takes are coming. They are flying. This is what happens, though, at city council meetings.
Well, though.
At city council meetings in Atlanta right now. This is crazy. Yeah, they're ready. Absolutely, they're ready. Everybody's got scars. They
This
didn't
is
give those
real
out.
too, by the
Yeah,
way.
they
This
give
isn't
those out.
Arthur Blank reaching out saying, "Hey, do you mind doing this?" It's real and it's organic.
I'm just thinking the Uber driver takes the wrong turn and Taylor goes, "What are you doing?
What are you doing? You knew the route.
No, they've got it all right, from the tailgate scene, capturing
Yeah.
a little bit of that essence, down to the hip-hop culture, all the rap stars that have embraced the team, and the marketing around it. Everywhere you go, I mean, it's the hottest ticket in town. And look, they haven't done it the way other teams have done it. I've alluded to it before. Not necessarily the biggest names, but if you haven't been to a soccer game at all and you go watch Miguel Almiron play, you're like, who's that guy?
Right.
That matters, and they win.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
Pre-planning on the parade.
Too soon, I'm telling you right now.
That's an issue.
Arthur Blank in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, 28-3 at half. You're up. End of the third quarter, he walked onto the field with his lovely bride. It's too soon. Like, honestly, I saw this and thinking, wait a minute, are you sure about this? Are you sure you want to plan this
Yeah.
and start the fodder for Portland Timbers?
Pump the brakes, maybe. Just a
Yeah,
little bit.
dude.
Pump the brakes. That's going up certainly as a little bit of locker room material for Gio Savarese. These are the Cup attendance records. Taylor, you were there in 2002.
Yeah, I'm glad this is another one where we don't have to talk about it.
No, history doesn't matter unless.
Yeah, look good. 72,000. Congrats, Atlanta. 2002. Get
2005,
off the
6,
board.
7.
All a while
Yeah.
ago, right?
We will break
Long
this.
time
This
ago.
will be broken
Thank you
on
for that.
Saturday. Absolutely it will. Let's see how they got there here.
Diapers.
Atlanta United rolling their way through the playoffs, as you said. They missed out on the Supporters Shield, Kalen. But in Tata, they trust.
Yeah.
And they've trusted him to go to one route, which is direct, defensive-minded. We got better talent than you. We're going to win the game.
Yeah, he's made the right decisions, and you know, make no mistake, this was just a street fight. They came up to New York City. That goal was really emblematic of kind of the way the game went, because it just took a little extra effort. And then when you add in a little bit of quality, Miguel Almiron on set pieces, Joseph Martinez, you know, this is the one for me where I was like, okay, he's feeling confident. He strikes through it across the ball, doesn't hesitate. Record-setting season, but now in the playoffs, he is firing on all cylinders.
We could talk about the tactics of Eric Remedi basically playing as an old stopper right in front of the two center backs, but then moving Jeff Lorenowitz back. We can talk about tactics all you want, but it's more about the philosophy of a manager in Tata Martino, who is arguably one of the more stubborn managers this game has ever seen world-wise and in Major League Soccer-wise. For him to recognize at the end of September in New York, you know what, we're not good enough. And then the last regular season game where they lost the Supporters Shield against Toronto, I actually have to change and do it. That's what stands out to me the most.
Yeah.
But they also celebrated this.
They did. Michael Parkhurst is jacked.
And Michael Parkhurst has also had some good practice. Yeah, I know that. I can say that.
Yeah, okay.
But does that have anything to say about the
Yeah,
game Saturday night?
28-3 and Taylor's MLS Cup experiences. Go ahead and mark those down. The Portland Timbers are back for the second time in 4 years, Bobby. They didn't change who they were.
Well, Taylor mentioned Atlanta adjusting their tactics, and there's one team coming to this game that has barely adjusted their tactics at all through the regular season and then the playoffs. And we saw it in the elimination game against Dallas. We saw it in the wild Cascadia matchup against Seattle, and that this team sits, they wait, and then they counter, and they get the ball to their incredible superstars, Sebastian Blanco, Diego Valeri, and dare I say, Dairon Asprilla.
Playoff time, baby.
And it works for them, man. And going into this final, you guys mentioned that Atlanta is going to be the heavy favorite. But if you watched all these games and you saw the way Portland plays, guys, I think this is going to be way closer than we expect.
Yeah, you've got to have game changers. I mean, Blanco scored arguably the best goal in MLS Cup playoff history. Diego Valeri, while we all talk about Almiron and Martinez, is arguably one of the best players this league's ever seen. But you got to remember, this season's been topsy-turvy. They didn't win a game in the first 5 or 6, and they go unbeaten in 15. And Giovanni Savarese changed the lineup the entire season. He had Diego Chara playing wide left in a couple of games. He's found the right formula. However, he's going to have to make a big decision on how you play against Atlanta United, because if you sit in and try to defend for 90 minutes with 72,000 in a big game where the momentum and the confidence is on Atlanta United's side and Miguel Almiron's getting 100 touches a game, I'm not sure that's the formula you want to do.
We have seen how that works out for other teams at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Let's go now to Atlanta. David Goss is standing by, my partner in soccer. Dave, what's up, man? How you doing out there?
Well, so Toronto didn't do well this year, so I get to be in warm Atlanta. It is 36 degrees right now. I cannot get away from this. Every cup, I got to be in front of the stadium in freezing cold. Could someone make Matt Doyle do this one year?
Yeah, man, I saw you with the scarf before. Thank you for taking it off. The Timbers, they're not there yet, I don't think. Checking my watch, what time do they arrive?
So they took off 5 p.m. Eastern time from Portland, a little over 6-hour trip, 150 people, team, staff, ownership, front office. They've got another 150 coming on Friday to join them. So we expect them to get to the hotel around 11:30 midnight tonight, a long day, and then they've got to turn around and start training tomorrow. So it's a big trip for the Portland Timbers.
Someone else is coming too. Guess it's not a someone, it's a something. That is Timber Joey's log. They strapped it to a semi and they're driving it cross country, but there's some bad news for the Timbers on that front.
Yeah, so that log's taking a 2,500-mile trip and will come into a very unwelcoming Atlanta. We calculate, based on my rough math, carrying the 3, pi sign, all that stuff, it should be here around tomorrow morning. Timber Joey will welcome it into the city. Atlanta doesn't want it here, so it'll be shunned throughout the week, and then it will be in the yellow lot around Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is as far away as you can get back behind that building. It won't be allowed in the stadium, and Timber Joey, he's going to have a tough week as well. Will not be credentialed, so we'll be up in the upper deck with the fans. Won't get to cut any logs, whether they score or not.
If you see a guy in a hard hat trying to sneak down on the field, just flag David Goss. He's on the case right now. On the side of the players, Lars Mabiala has been an injury issue, and there's other question marks in this squad right now for Gio Savarese. What do you know?
So Mabiala partially trained yesterday, did fully train this morning before they left on the flight. Now, Larry Mabiala and Liam Ridgewell, 0.76 goals against average throughout this season as a pairing in over 1,000 minutes. 0.45 goals against average, better than the second best pairing for this Portland Timbers team. So he is vital to them, but it is an ankle injury. And if he's struggling laterally to move or with speed, you know how fast that Atlanta front line can be. And Bill Tuiloma has stepped up and played well in that role. The other big question mark, Zarek Valentin has started 4 or 5 playoff games at right back, but he struggled with Gerso Fernandez's pace at the end of the SKC second leg and was pulled for Alvis Powell. Powell started the second leg in Seattle as well. So Gio Savarese has question marks along that, what has been pretty dominant back line.
Who floats to that side? Miguel Almiron. He's pretty good. He might run some people off the field. Big choice there for Gio. Tactically, though, we just said he's stuck with what got him here. What do you expect from him? Could he throw a changeup?
Historically, he has, and that's been Gio Savarese's MO is, I have a philosophy, I know who my team is, but I always have to change things so people don't expect what's coming. But when you think about his NASL championships, he was always the favorite. He was always the Atlanta United. He comes in, he hasn't changed things throughout this playoff run. He's got to find a way, as Taylor was saying, to throw a curveball at this Atlanta United team without losing his team identity, this defensive base that's gotten them to this point.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much, man. Bundle up a little bit, go have a drink, go enjoy yourself.
Stay
it's
warm,
Atlanta.
dude.
It's MLS Cup week, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Dave Goss down in Atlanta. Susanna Collins is there as well, along with Jillian Sakovits, who we will check in with later on in this show. But we teased it. The MVP was awarded today. You guessed it. Josef Martinez getting the honor, stepping up to the podium, the Landon Donovan MLS MVP. 31 goals in the regular season, a single season record in Major League Soccer. What a year it was. His family surrounding him, Darren Eales taking the stage to praise him. Josef Martinez, the 2018 Landon Donovan MLS MVP. Let's go check in and see what he had to say.
Now, it is my great pleasure to congratulate Atlanta United forward Josef Martinez as the 2018 winner of Major League Soccer's Landon Donovan Most Valuable Player Award.
So, thank you everyone for coming out for this special day for me, for my family is from me, for a teammate, for the city. I think I never experienced for this dessert. I want to say thank you on this very special. Thank you for the God.
Congratulations to him for jumping in and speaking English, I think for the first time publicly.
Exactly.
Props to him, man.
Yeah, I think it was afterwards, Sebastian Salazar of ESPN actually tweeted that out, that this was part of his English class taking and getting over that. You could tell he was nervous, but I think all four of us would probably be the same way,
Yeah.
speaking our second language.
Did you vote for him? Did you vote for him for MVP?
I don't vote on the MVP or anything
Oh.
where a player that I'm covering has a monetary value to it.
Smart man.
Yeah, I was
Smart man.
advised not to. So, but you're asking me to give an opinion?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue Joseph Martinez, but I'd argue that without Miguel Almirón, I'm not sure his numbers are the same. And look at his numbers without Miguel Almirón. There's an interesting argument to be had, but 31 goals in the regular season, that's difficult. That's difficult to defend not getting MVP.
About 50% of the vote. Miguel Almirón was second, but we're asking you right now on Twitter who had the best offensive season ever in MLS. I mean, ever. Start from the beginning of time. 2018, Joseph Martinez. 2016, Jovinko. 2014, Wando.
Long ago.
Yeah, you know, your first season, the beginning of time.
Beginning of time.
2002, Carlos Ruiz. Any
Look
feelings?
at Ruiz. Carlos, you deserve more credit, respect, dude.
Yeah, well, I'm going Martinez here.
Of course you are.
But when I look at this group, and you know, Taylor, I would add you to this list and Brian Ching as top strikers in MLS history. And one thing that stands out between all of them, and Martinez is right near the top of that, is just relentlessness, just fearlessness in the box, the way he puts his body into positions. Of course, all of those strikers have the quality to be able to do incredible things in the box, but the fearlessness and the relentlessness is what stands out for Martinez.
You know, the incredible thing about Joseph is usually when you play a striker, there is a defensive scheme you could use to stop that guy. You know, Wando is good in the box, but not great in the break. Landon was good in the break, but not great in the box. Maybe you sit a little deeper. With Joseph, he can do everything. If you try and sit deep, he can jump over your center backs. You try and play a high line, he can run by anyone. He has every single part of a soccer skill set in his repertoire.
This is stupid. 54 games played, 50 goals scored.
It's insane the rate he scores. I think the one thing that stands out to me about Joseph Martinez, the greatest goal scorers in the world, no matter what level, no matter what league, is he doesn't really have a conscience. So he'll miss chances. He'll miss quality chances. We're like, how does a guy do?
Yeah.
But then he's got this chip on his shoulder that he just wants to show you up. And you know when Joseph Martinez goes to bed at night, even if Atlanta United won 3-0, 2-1, if he didn't score, there's a bad taste in his mouth. He lives and dies by the goals. The only thing I'm going to disagree with you on, Landon was pretty good in the box.
Fair.
Where Landon wasn't good is when you were physical with him, when you got up his backside, when you really tried to take him out of a game.
Right.
Good luck trying to be physical with Joseph Martinez.
And the best part about that one thing about Martinez, the best part about that is playing behind him. Usually the strikers like that, you don't love that guy as a person. He does his thing up top, but he doesn't always work hard. Joseph works so hard and cares so much that if you're playing behind him, you want that guy to succeed.
In some ways, him going a little cold at the end of the regular season might have played into Atlanta's advantage. He gets that hunger going. He says, why not me right now? It's my time. Well, it has been Joseph Martinez's time, and Saturday may be his time as well. We're doing Tail of the Tape all week here on MLS Cup Central. We've got the coaches coming today. Midfields and forwards come on Thursday. Stay tuned for that, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Ooh.
MLS Cup
Good luck
Central.
trying to pick that. Oh, wait, I got to do that too?
MLS channels. Oh, yeah. You got to find a way to choose between Blanco and Valeri and Miggy and Joseph Martinez and, I don't know, there's a lot more names to throw out in there. Tito Villalba, perhaps one of them.
Might sit on the fence on Thursday.
Hey, man. Pregame show, by the way, coming down on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I have a feeling the tailgating scene will be decent. We'll be inside giving you all the
As long as you're not
lineup.
tailgating, otherwise this show could be epic.
Kidding me? Kidding me? That's what you want. We'll go off the rails, man. We do it on Extra Time Radio all the time. Thursday, Taylor will be there as well. And, of course, he is here for MLS Cup Central every single day this week leading up to Saturday. All right, let's take a look around the league right now. Just because MLS Cup is going on doesn't mean that things stop. Tyler Adams, we all suspected this was coming. RB Leipzig is his next destination, Taylor. What do you think about this move and some of the news around it as it pertains to the transfer fee?
Yeah, I do think there was a transfer fee included. Now, obviously, being the father club, sister club, however you want to name it, it doesn't really matter. For me, this is the perfect place for his development for the national team coming around with Greg Berhalter because he already knows the system, the fundamentals, the philosophy of Red Bull Leipzig is very similar to Red Bull New York. But the way he's going into a league that actually looks at young players to be a huge part. Don't be shocked if Tyler Adams is playing within 4 or 5 weeks of being there, Jesse Marsch being there to help hold his hand. But this is a perfect move for his development, and I wouldn't be shocked if Tyler Adams isn't there long and moves on in the next 18 to 20
Very
months.
interesting. David Villa moved on. Vissel Kobe. Andres Iniesta's there. Lucas Podolski's there. But I'm going to miss David Villa in this league, Kayla. He was such a class act so so good on the field as well.
I often say, getting to move to New York at the time of David Villa was lucky for me. And just if there was one person I would pay money to watch in MLS over the last few years, it would be David Villa, because you know what you're going to get: consistent quality, effort, a complete legend. I know NYCFC will be missing him, but I'm actually intrigued to see who City Football Group goes out to replace him, because I think they could use a little bit more physicality at that number 9
joke
position.
of a goal, by the way.
You might be the one guy in New York
Just
City who I
kick
think
it,
is
man.
cool enough to hang out with David Villa.
Just put it up in the air. What's Andre Blake? No.
Bobby,
Andre.
Kalen just drove him around. That's all.
Oh, Jordan Pickford in that one.
I'd be
Zach
happy to be
Steffen, he might be moving on as well. Reports out there that he's headed to Manchester City for a lot of money, Bobby. This is a big move for him if it happens.
And it's a little unclear what's going to happen if or perhaps when the deal goes through, because Manchester City already has a definitive number one in Ederson. So does Zach Steffen play behind him, maybe until Claudio Bravo is back from injury? Does he go on loan? But either way, it's a big step for Steffen to go to one of the biggest clubs in Europe and potentially wherever they use their clout to send him next.
Talk about City Football Group and their impact in Major League Soccer. We could all talk and have that discussion about Yankee Stadium and whether or not the stadium's ever going to come. But when you look at City Football Group as a whole, Eric Palmer-Brown, Zach Steffen, Jack Harrison, they're still got their scouts looking at the league and looking at it with a fine-tooth, going through it and saying, you know what, this player can make it. He'll go on loan 100%.
Right away?
It depends on when, but he wants to play immediately, and that's a huge caveat in that deal to happen.
Speaking about going on loan here, reports today that Miguel Almiron will be loaned or perhaps sold with that option to Newcastle in the Premier League. The number they're quoting right now is £15 million. That's $19 million. We've been waiting for the shoe to drop on this one, Taylor. What do you make of this rumor?
We've heard about Newcastle. We thought it would be Newcastle. I don't think any of us really thought it would be a loan. And if it is a loan, that tells you a lot about what Atlanta's thinking about over the next 12 to 24 months, what that means for the CBA. Because if Miguel Almiron's only on a one-year loan, then could he come back maybe with Martinez, both Martinez's and Barco there? So a lot can happen, but I'm a little surprised if it's only a loan.
What do you guys think?
I'm just looking a little more broadly at all of these signings, because this is a week where we get a chance to reflect on MLS Cup and this celebration around this game. But what a good time for MLS to now see these players, whether they're 19-year-old Americans or young South Americans as well, going to leagues and clubs that are not just being stashed over there, but Premier League, Bundesliga, and guys that I think that can really have a chance of making an impact. Miguel Almiron, probably the biggest one of that for me. I want to see how he does.
What kind of impact do you think he makes, Bobby? You watch a lot of EPL, big Man U fan.
At Newcastle, with the way they play right now, they can use players who are good on the break. Rafa Benitez has them sit deep. He wants them to play on the counter. And have we seen a guy in Major League Soccer who's better on the counter than Miguel Almiron? So he could be exactly what Newcastle needs.
He could, but the physicality of the English Premier League is a huge concern for him. And why I think Almiron's representatives may have said, let's just do a one-year loan and see, because maybe he doesn't enjoy his time there. But Bobby's 100% for Newcastle. If he's ready and up to the challenge, he could be an absolute great signing. But if he deals with that physicality, that's interesting. The one thing that stands out that everyone watching the show needs to understand is they're coming. And I've said this now for 4 or 5 months. They're coming for young Americans. It's up to MLS and Major League Soccer to get their ducks in a row to make sure they get a piece of the pie, because Tyler Adams is not the end of it. Weston McKennie's not the end of it. It doesn't matter who it is, because right now, 4 or 5 agents from the big clubs in England have told me there will be 20 Christian Pulisics in Europe by the end of 2020. Now, you do that math real quickly. So when you look at Christian Pulisics of 21 and under Americans, it's a lot of Americans. They're coming here. It's up to MLS to get their ducks in a row to get a piece of that pie. Because now, when everyone talks about Tyler Adams, what do they say? Oh, Tyler Adams started his career in Major League Soccer, Red Bull New York. That's the way you throw your roots into the world market, and that's why Tyler Adams signing is massive.
You know who likes to hear that? 20 Pulisics by 2020 with 2020.
Greg Berhalter.
Greg Berhalter likes to hear that. Guess who's the new head coach of the U.S. men's national team? It was the worst kept secret in U.S. soccer. Everybody knew. It just wasn't official. Well, it is finally official. He was introduced to the media earlier this week. On Sunday, it was announced. I got the opportunity to sit down with him right here in the studio. If you were paying attention Sunday, you know that there's a new head coach of the U.S. national team. I called it the worst kept secret in U.S. soccer, Greg. Congratulations. How do you feel right now?
I feel great. I feel ready for the challenge. Exciting times ahead, and I just want to get to work.
Before you got the job, not that you have the job, what did it mean to you to be U.S. national team manager? How did those things change? How are they the same?
So I think before you get the job, you're thinking about, wow, this would be a great position to have. And then when you actually get the job, you understand what a big responsibility it is. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not taking it lightly. What was the mental process that you went through as you studied and decided that this was for you? At the time, after not qualifying, when I was asked if you're ready for the job, and I said, I'm not sure I'm ready for the job. And in the meantime, you have the playoff series of 2017. You have 3 series there. You have another regular season, another preseason. You have time to wrap your head around what the actual job can entail. You have another playoff series, 2 other playoff series this year. And I think that when I look at the whole thing and the big picture, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. I think that you learn as you go how you're going to set up for these battles, how you're going to set up for your team, and all that equips you to move forward. The U.S. fans want to hear details from you about what they'll see on the field and what represents success. Walk them through that in your mind right now. What are the details they should be looking for? So I think, again, it's uncomfortable to keep talking about because I actually want to just go do it, right? I want the team on the field and I want to start training with them. But the idea is to be a possession-based team that disorganizes the opponent with ball possession to create goal-scoring opportunities. Give me the message. Well, if I'm walking into that locker room, what message am I going to hear? So we want to change the way the world views American soccer. Elaborate, please, because when I hear that, I love that kind of buzzword. Yeah. That would get me going. Well, I think elaborating it is how we're doing it. So what's our environment around the team? What does the staff look like? Are we the best staff in America, right? What's the playing style look like? Are the players comfortable playing this style? Because I think if we can do these things, we can change the perception. And we want the players being mission oriented. That's their mission. You're just weeks removed from chasing MLS Cup yourself. We've got the matchup, Atlanta United, Portland Timbers. What do you make of this matchup in this game? So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, and I say that because Portland's very comfortable defending in their own half, and they actually have a good counterattack as well. And so Atlanta, if they adopt their similar style where they're trying to sit back and counterattack, it's going to be interesting how those two play off of each other. My guess, what's going to happen is that Atlanta is going to get drawn out of their defensive half and is going to be forced to attack because they're at home. And that could open up space for Portland, who have a very good counterattack. On set pieces, a very good counterattack from the run of play. So I'm excited to see the game. Well, a couple weeks ago, Greg Berhalter was chasing MLS Cup. Now he's the head coach of the U.S. national team. His legacy, what have we learned about him in Columbus, Taylor? How does it translate now to the national team?
That's an interesting question. Because I think, Greg, when you look at it, obviously, whenever you talk about someone's legacy, you naturally want to look at numbers or championships. Well, the numbers don't really work for Greg. The championships don't work for Greg. But what has he done? He is surprised. He's had a couple great results against teams that no one thought he could pull it off. Stylistically, he's what everyone wants the United States to be, even though no one really wants to have the conversation. Well, stylistically is one thing. Do you have the players in order to play that style? I think his legacy, quite honestly, is going to be determined by his success with the national team. Because I think if he's real successful with the national team, I think the legacy for Columbus is spoken more proudly of. If it's not, everyone's going to look at those numbers and everyone's going to look at the fact that he didn't win and say, well, the proof is in the pudding. It'll be a precursor to his success. Yeah, I'm not sure we know his legacy yet.
I agree, and I think the legacy is not just necessarily for Greg, but it's for MLS coaches as well, because when you get an opportunity to go from your league to the national team, look, there are a lot of rumored names that were coming from abroad or from other countries that could have also maybe taken this position as well. So for the respect amongst MLS coaches in the league, it's important for him to do well as well.
I love the fact that Greg Berhalter improved the players when they came to him.
Very good.
And there are so many coaches around Major League Soccer who say, I need Miguel Almiron to compete. I need Josef Martinez to compete. And Greg Berhalter showed, no, you don't. You just have to coach. If you actually know how to speak to players, you know how to set up a team, you can compete. And that should be Greg Berhalter's legacy, is that there are no excuses. If you go out and you get a man or a woman who can coach players, then that's how
Bobby, it's a great point because Kai Kamara, Ola Kamara, Giazzi Zardes, when you look at the number 9, the position of scoring goals, he's gotten a lot out of that orange. That he squeezed a lot of juice out of the orange where some of us would have said, yeah, are we sure about that?
Well, identifying players as well, too. Justin Miram, he was able to develop, and then getting Zach Steffen back from Europe when a lot of teams weren't really having him on the radar. And look, when I look at this this hiring of him, for the longest time, we've said, we need somebody abroad to be able to play this beautiful style of soccer. Well, I heard him on Extra Time Radio saying he wanted to play romantic soccer, and at times, it sounds funny, but that's really positive to hear. And I think he's the right man to be able to bring it to life.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's been a long 14 months. I called it purgatory because it felt like it. It felt like we were floating. We're not in purgatory anymore, and we got Greg Berhalter here at the board, Bobby Warshaw's special place. He walked us through some of his tactics with Columbus Crew SC. We will have a snippet of that on tomorrow's MLS Cup Central at 7 p.m. Eastern. Now let's talk about the coaches in this game. Here are your resumes for Tata Martino and Giovanni Savarese. Tata, matching suits, sharp, first club in club history. We knew that, coach, excuse me. He's won a ton of games. He was this year's Coach of the Year. Of course, before that, it was Paraguay, it was Newell's, it was Barca.
You know what the best part about that is? They all get to the stadium, they put on their suits, they walk back out of the stadium, get in the bus, drive around the stadium, and then come out.
No.
Yes.
Don't believe
Inside
it.
info right here.
I don't believe it.
It's real. The bus was 20 minutes late for the ESPN primetime game.
Giovanni Savarese, he wears scarves. But what he's done in his first year has been
espresso
really,
machine in his
I
office.
don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Has been really, really impressive. Came from NSL, Kalen, and immediately had to make some changes, was under pressure, and found his way out of it.
Well, he was also playing some men's league here in the Bowery Premier League.
He was.
He could score a couple goals for us, by the way. But I think
with those calves.
Exactly. But I mean, he's made some tough decisions, right? And he's kept the group, and that's tough to do as a first-time manager in MLS. And Sat Ridgewell, they moved on for Fernando Adi. Nobody's talking about that. That was a big decision partway through the season, and found a way through Ibobasi and some of the other guys to get the best out of the players that he has available.
All right, tail of the tape time. We got 3 categories here that we're rating these guys on: game plan, in-game adjustments, and big matches. Bobby, start you off on game plan. What do you think?
Okay.
Who's got the edge here?
Well, in order to frame this, you have to think about the task that is in front of them. They're not just making any old decision. And for me, Gio Savarese has a much easier decision to make because he's the road team. He doesn't have the 70,000 fans expecting them to dominate the game. He knows what his team is good at, and it's an easy decision for him. Taylor, you said earlier in the show that Tata has some big choices to make how they're going to play at home. So, guys, I think that Gio Savarese has the advantage going in, largely because he has an easier task on his hands.
This is the tail of the tape just for the final.
Just for the final.
So what big decisions does Tata have to make? Because
for 4 playoff games, they've said, we're going to kick it long. We're going to play 5
Not
defenders.
against the Red Bulls.
Well, yeah.
Not against the Red Bulls.
Well, when the
Red Bulls, the first 5 minutes of the game, they thought they were. For the next 85 minutes, they recognized what was going on. And Franco Escobar played as a right winger. And in-game, he moved that up. Right now, Giovanni Savarese, the in-game plan, going into the game plan, unequivocally, he's got the more difficult job. Because if he starts Valentin, with all due respect, after watching what happened in Leg 2 against Sporting Kansas City, and you see Miguel Almiron overlap him, remember, June 24th, he played 5 in the back. So I think Gio's got bigger decisions because Tata for the last 2 years has made one change, and that was going into the playoffs. One change in how many games? Gio's made arguably 10 changes, 15 just this year. I think Gio's got to have that game plan. I think he's got to have a wrinkle up his sleeve. Otherwise, 4-2-3-1, sit in, defend, and let Miguel Almiron and Joseph try to dictate the tempo. Little dangerous.
All right, I hear Tata here. I hear Gio here. I see a tiebreaker sitting right here. Who you taking? Give it to me quick so we can get it on the board.
Tata, I think he's got the easier decisions to make. It wasn't just on the right-hand side. I think that, Johnny Russell caused a lot of problems for Villafana on the left, and then Atenella had trouble on crosses, if you look at the last series and the one with Rui Diaz getting the spill. So the wide play is going to be a dangerous spot, and that's where Atlanta United is often at their best.
Do you guys play Mbiala? Do you play him?
If he's not healthy, I don't think so.
If he's a 75%, do you play him?
No. If he cannot keep up.
That's another
Justin Martinez. You need 100% of somebody.
Adjustment. It might be. Who has the edge, Kalen? In game.
In game, I'm giving Tata Martino the edge, and I know this will shock some, but just because I pick players in in-game adjustments and who you can look down the bench when you're a manager and say, that's who I'm going to come in and make me look like a genius, right? And give Savarese some credit as well because he's put in Asprilla and Milano have done well, but I think they've got a much stronger bench with Villalba, who's been so deadly coming off late, and Ezequiel Barco. So I think Tata Martino, only because he has better options.
Who can disagree with that? Anybody going to try? Or are we just going Tata on this?
The only thing I'm concerned about Tata Martino is when he has had to make in-game adjustments like 2017 against Columbus, he took off his best goal scorer in Joseph Martinez, who wasn't available to take a penalty. They didn't practice penalties leading up to that, but Kalen hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The players dictate that at the end, and when you look at the benches, my word, who wouldn't give anything to have Atlanta United's bench? But he's still got to call the names.
He does.
He's still got to make the decision when he does.
Give me the check mark. Give me the check mark for Tata Martino. He has got that one locked down on virtue of that bench. Now, big matches, that is a big question mark for Tata Martino, Taylor.
I don't care what level you're at. I don't care who you're coaching or who's on your team winning. And I find this a little ironic that I'm answering the big game matches considering I never won one. But neither here nor there. When you really look at this, Tata Martino in big games, it's always gone against them. Copa America, Champions League, World Cups. Let me leave you with this. When I sit there and talk to Tata Martino, the only thing, that only chip on his shoulder that I still see is about this big game thing. Yeah. He's brought up Copa America to me 3 or 4 times without me asking about Copa America. Now, everyone watching this is going to say, well, the NASL versus, it's not my point. My point is, Gio has gone into games and won big games. And when you've lost 2 or 3 from experience, that little thing creeps into your mind. Now, and I know what you're going to say, NASL, MLS, it's salary caps, it's all the same. Tata Martino had Messi, and he had arguably the best player this game's ever seen, Bobby. How many did he win?
You're going to tell me that Tata Martino in an NASL championship with Raul and Marco Senna wouldn't have won those games? He wouldn't also be at least 3 of 4, not 4 of 4 or 5 of 5?
How do you lose Copa America with Messi?
Because they played Chile with Arturo Vidal and a stacked roster.
So Raul, at what, 39 years of age, is a star the way he was at Champions League?
Look, the fact is he wasn't in that game. That wasn't his game to coach.
Point.
He's had games to coach. He hasn't won them.
His experience, every big game has been a negative one. I don't care what level you're at some point that plays a factor. Now, I don't think it plays a factor Saturday, but I'm telling you, Gio's got confidence going into this. He went into Kansas City and was like, we got this as long as we hang in there because he's been successful at it.
Calma, tranquilo. We have this, says Gio Savarese. So we're giving him the check mark there.
Ooh.
2 out of 3 go to Tata Martino, but I think
Let's
the
just
players.
make Atlanta fans upset.
I know. The players are going to decide this one.
They don't like soccer anyways. They're all
Jillian Sakovits is in Atlanta. That's been her stomping grounds all season long. Here's her first report on the road for us for MLS Cup Central.
After the U.S., no country will be represented more in MLS Cup than Argentina. And Atlanta United alone boasts 5 Argentines, some of which bring championship experience with them. Both Tito Villalba and Ezequiel Barco have won titles in South America's highest levels.
Sí, obvio, siempre nosotros los argentinos lo vivimos como una final de Sudamérica. La verdad que es algo muy lindo jugar una final más que nada. Se va a vivir muy intenso el partido, así que va a estar bueno para disfrutarlo y jugarlo.
Ya es especial, por el simple hecho de que hay argentinos del otro lado, gente que no conocemos, que hablamos hace muchos años, entonces es lindo. Entonces la jerarquía que tiene Argentina es totalmente diferente, o sea, mejor dicho, el sudamericano. Entonces eso es lo que hace diferente un equipo, creo.
El éxito, si venís creyendo que la MLS es una liga menor, ahí es donde te equivocás y por ahí las cosas nos pueden salir también. Pero cuando venís acá y sabés que la liga es muy competitiva, que todos los equipos te dan pelea y te entrenás y estás siempre enfocado y tomás todos los partidos en serio, creo que los resultados van a ser positivos y bueno, ahí lo ves en la final, hay varios argentinos.
A ver, es muy comprensivo, está muy encima del jugador y creo que acá en Atlanta marcó una diferencia grande y se ha notado en toda la MLS. Entonces eso abre puertas a mucha gente.
Que se salió el momento. Yo el otro día le dije a Franco que si este sábado hacía un gol en la final que vaya a festejarlo conmigo ahí en el banco donde te entrena la entrada en calor. Así que vamos a ver qué pasa. Ojalá se le dé.
Si bailamos porque ganamos, así que sí. Si volvemos a ganar, prometo hacer otro baile con él. No existe ese baile, salió ahí en el momento de la alegría que teníamos los dos y y para hacer un poco de gracia.
And tomorrow we'll hear from the man credited with bringing much of the South American talent here to Atlanta, manager Tata Martino.
Thank you, Jillian. Just we went to the full screen. I had the dance moves going. Argentinians
That's
on the
why we went
Atlanta
to the
roster.
full screen, brother.
Yeah, a little scary there. Franco Escobar, Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, Ezequiel Barco, Eric Rometti, Hector Villalba, who's now, by the way, playing for Paraguay. Dual nationals exist all over the world. 4 big ones on the Portland Timbers roster. Lucas Milano is back, but it's Diego Valeri and Sebastian Blanco that have provided the magic so far this postseason. Here's the poll results. The best offensive season ever in Major League Soccer. Joseph Martinez, Jovinko right behind him, Wando and Ruiz way down at the bottom. People's memories are not long enough, Taylor.
Well, the problem is those games were black and white back then. Nope.
All right.
Maybe not.
Nope.
I'm trying to think of a poll we did with Atlanta in it in some way when Atlanta didn't win.
I got nothing.
I love the fact that we just did that package all in Spanish, and I think when you look at the managers, an Argentine coaching a Venezuelan and Paraguayan, then on the other side a Venezuelan coaching an Argentine, and you see how these players have become a bigger part of our league. Spanish, English, I find it a little bit ironic too, exactly that Joseph Martinez did part of his press conference in English, so a big step forward, I think, with using Spanish in our broadcast as well as seeing players embrace it and learn the other side as well.
It's a beautiful game in Atlanta. Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Fox, Unimas, TVA Sports, and TSN in Canada. We have got the pregame show on MLS Cup Central. I cannot wait to go back to Atlanta. We were there for All-Star. It was packed. It was popping. But I'm thinking back to that game against Orlando when I was on the field, and I was getting goosebumps throughout. 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And then Thursday and Friday, MLS Cup Central continues right here with Taylor Twellman on MLS Channels. Luis Robles of the Red Bulls will join us on Friday. Extra Time Radio has your preview. MLSsoccer.com is cranking out all the news you need to know ahead of the big game. With that, we are out of here for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow for Taylor Twellman, Kalen Carr, Bobby Warshaw, our crack crew. I am Andrew Wiebe. It's MLS Cup Week. Get hyped, everybody.